Uh, Good morning, students. This is Dr. Ravindra Munje, and this semester I will be teaching you Control System 2. So, when we say Control System 2, we already have studied one course related to this, that is Control System 1. Before we start with our actual course on Control System 2, we will just summarize some of the topics that we have already discussed in Control System 1. So in Control System 1, what we have discussed? From the beginning, we have defined what is control system and what are the types of different control systems. Then what is mathematical modeling, how we can model the system to get the transfer function, how we can represent the system in the form of differential equations. Then we have seen how to reduce block diagrams. Then Masson-Gain formula that we have discussed. Later in the second unit, what we have seen? We have seen the concept of steady state error, right? After that we have seen time domain specifications, then how to represent different test signals with the help of Laplace transform, right? In the next unit, we have talked about the methods to determine the stability of a system, and the methods that we have studied are Routh-Hurwitz criteria and root locus method. After that, the next two units we talk about the frequency domain analysis. So whatever we covered in the earlier 3 units is related to the time domain specifications or time domain system. Then in the later 2 units, the description is given about, or the discussion is more about the frequency domain analysis. So initially we talk about the relationship between the time domain specifications and frequency domain specifications. Then how to define the stability of system in frequency domain using Bode plot, polar plot, Nyquist plot. What are the different criteria for determining stability, concepts of gain margin, phase margin, all that we have studied in the 5th unit and 4th unit. And in the last unit, we have just talked about the PID controllers, components of PID controllers, that is PI and D. Then how to design PID controller using root locus method. And after that, there are some tuning methods for PID control, that is Ziegler-Nichols. So we have just talk about these two methods, how to determine parameters, and finally we talk about the control system components like compensators and other components. So all these topics we have covered in the Control System 1. So whatever we have covered is more about the basics of control system, and in this course we will talk about 2 important aspects. Now this syllabus is divided into two different parts. The initial 3 units talk about the discrete time system. Unit number 1, 2, 3 we discuss about the discrete time system, and rest of the 3 units, that is unit number 4, 5 and 6, again we go back to the continuous time control system, and in that case we talk about state space analysis and designing the controllers and observers for the system. So here, as we have covered in the last course, that is Control System 1, continuous time systems, but here in the first 3 units we will talk about discrete time system. In the very first unit we will talk about what is meant by digital control system or discrete time control system, what is the exact difference between these two, then what are the advantages of the discrete time system, then what are the examples of this, then what is sampling, what is analog to digital converter, digital to analog converter, right? This we will cover in the unit number 1. Unit number 2 we will talk about the Z transform. Now as we carry out the analysis of continuous time system using Laplace transform, the same we do in the discrete time using Z transform. So what is Z transform and how it is used to determine or analyze the discrete time system, that we will cover in the unit number 2. Unit number 3 talks about the stability analysis in the discrete time domain. As we have seen earlier methods like Routh-Hurwitz criteria, then root locus. These methods are applicable to the continuous time system. But here in the third unit we will talk about the methods which we will use to determine the stability of the discrete time system. Right? After that, after discussing topics in the discrete time system or digital control system, we will go back to continuous time system, and there we will discuss the state space method for the stability analysis. Right? State space method for stability analysis, and in that case we will see how to find out the solution of the state equations. And finally, at the end, in the last unit, we will talk about designing controllers based on the state space analysis, designing state feedback based controllers and observers. Now this is more about the modern control theory. In general we call this is as a modern control theory, right? So these topics we will discuss in control system 2. Okay, now today, since it is a first lecture, for today's lecture we will understand what is continuous time system, what is discrete time system, what are the different block diagrams, and we will just stick to one example where we can explain the continuous time system and discrete time system. So this is the learning outcome or the learning objective for this lecture. At the end of this lecture you will be able to identify the components in the discrete time system, and also you will be able to identify the examples related to the discrete time or digital control system. So before we begin, let us define control system. Can anyone tell me what is control system? Yes, control system can be defined as the interconnection of the different components to form a system configuration so that it will perform a desired task or it will achieve the objective. That is control system. And in control system 1 we have seen different types of control systems like closed loop control system, open loop control system, then feed forward control system, then tracking control system, regulating control system. So more specifically we will talk about the closed loop control system. This is a typical block diagram of the closed loop control system. Now since we are talking about continuous time system, I have mentioned here continuous time control system, right? So here this is a typical block diagram of the closed loop control system. We have a plant or the process or the system to be controlled. Here we have some control objective. We will be controlling some parameter of the system. That parameter will be sensed by the sensor, and sensor will send the signal here. It will be compared with the desired output, right? And the error is given to the controller. The difference between the desired output and the actual output is given to the controller. Controller will generate some signal which is given to the actuator. Actuator is also called as the final control element, and this will send signal to the plant or the system or the process to be controlled. This is the actual closed loop control system. So we have a process, a sensor to sense the actual output. This will send signal here which will be compared with the desired output. It will be given to the controller. Controller will create a signal which will be given to the actuator, and actuator will send the input to the system to control the actual output, right? So this is a continuous time control system. Now in terms of when we talk about continuous time control system, if I want to explain this system with the example, suppose I am driving a car. Suppose I am driving a car. Now in that case, what will be the output? What is to be controlled? Right? I need to control the speed, and I need to control the steering. I need to control the track, whether I am going in the right direction or left direction, or whether I am going in the straight. Right? So I have two control objectives there. The first control objective is the speed which I need to control, and the second objective is the track which I need to control. These are the two control objectives, right? Now in that case, if I write here, this output will be speed and the track or the road, right? Now it will be sensed by the sensor. What are the sensors in my case? What are the sensors in my case? Who is going to sense the speed? Who is going to sense the speed? That speedometer can be used to sense the speed, right? And who is going to sense the track? There are some indicators on the road where we can see that we need to move to the right side, we need to move, or we need to take left turn, right turn, right? These are the sensors in that case. And who is going to sense that? Our eyes are going to sense it, right? After that, it will be compared with the desired output. It will be compared with the desired. Suppose I want to maintain the speed of 60 kilometers per hour, right? So that will be the reference. Now suppose next I need to take a right turn, then that will be a desired track for me. I need to take a right turn. After that, I need to have a controller. What is controller in my case? The controller in my case is my brain. Controller in my case is my brain, who is going to sense the signal. That is, I need to take a right turn, I need to take a left turn, I need to decrease the speed, right? So brain is the controller in my case. And what is actuator? What is actuator? Actuator is which will be providing input to the plant. Providing input to the plant. So in that case, if I want to decrease the speed, what is the actuator? I need to apply brakes. So what is actuator? Legs are my actuator in this case. If I want to decrease the speed, I need to apply brake. So legs are my actuators in this case. And in another case, if I need to take a right turn, what is actuator in this case? My hands are the actuator which are moving the steering is my actuator. So what are actuator? Legs and hands are the actuator. So this is a continuous time control system. So everything is continuously monitored, right? There is nothing like digital computer here. Everything is continuously monitored. Continuously I am looking on the track. Continuously I am looking at the speedometer, right? And depending upon the reference, that is the reference track or the reference speed, I am changing or I am giving signal. My brain is giving signal to my hands and the legs, so that the steering can be changed and the brakes can be applied respectively. So this is the example of the continuous time system. Now what are the advantages in this case? What are the advantages? Advantage is that continuously we can monitor the system. Continuously we can sense the signal and we can immediately take action, right? Continuously we can check it. But there are some problems with this. Now since this is the example of driving a car, but there are many other physical systems which operate in a continuous time, but there are some problems. The problems are the wear and tear of the equipment or the devices, aging of the devices, right? Then there is the problem of noise. Sometimes there is a problem of noise. So what is the how that problem can be solved? That problem can be solved by going to the digital control system. That problem can be solved by going for the digital control system. So when I say digital control system, if I take the same example of driving a car, if we consider the example of autonomous vehicle, if we consider the vehicle which is autonomous, which is not having any driver, right? Unmanned vehicle, that is nothing but the example of the digital control system. In the earlier case, we have seen driving a car by own, where I am acting as, or my brain is acting as a controller, my hands and legs are acting as actuator, right? So that was a continuous time system. But when we talk about digital control system, autonomous vehicle or unmanned car, right now a lot of research is going on developing unmanned vehicles. So if I consider autonomous car, that can be considered as the example of the digital control system. So what is in that? What we need in that if we want to implement any digital control system? Because our process is going to remain same, our system is going to remain same, right? We need to this is the plant, this is the system, this is the process, right? Here we will be measuring the actual output by the sensor. Now this is the physical output or the actual output. We need to convert, because here we will be involving the digital computer here. Here the computer was my brain, but here we need to have a digital computer. It can be a microcontroller or microprocessor, right? So here, if this is the computer or this is the controller, we need to provide some input which will convert the analog signal into digital signal. So that is analog to digital converter. So that is why we need analog to digital converter, which will convert the actual analog output into the digital signal or digital form, where it will be compared with the desired output. Now in the computer it will be compared with the desired output, and then it will generate some signal. Now again that signal will be in the digital form. Again that signal will be in the digital form. So digital to analog converter is required to convert that digital signal into analog form. Then that analog signal is given to the final control element, or that is actuator, right? So again, if we talk about the brakes or steering, so we need to have some actuator which will change the position of steering or which will apply the brake, that is actuator, and then it will be given to the plant, so that your speed and the track or the road will be tracked properly, right? So this is digital control system. So what we have in digital control system, we have a digital computer which can be a microprocessor, microcontroller, or digital signal processor, right? So when I say this controller or digital signal processor, we need to have analog to digital converter which will convert the actual output from the sensor into the digital form. It will process, the computer will process the actual output obtained from the sensor and analog to digital converter, and it will compare with the desired output. It will generate some digital signal which is given to digital to analog converter, which will convert this digital signal into analog form, and it will send to the final control element. Final control element will send signal to the plant so that the control objective will be achieved. So that the control objective will be achieved. Here the effect of noise is completely eliminated, right? Another problem is that the controller can be easily modified by changing a simple program, right? There are no problem of noise, right? And then there is no wear and tear of the devices because everything is digitally controlled. So these are some of the advantages. Now again, when we talk about digital control system, there are different terms like discrete time control system, sample data control system. What are these different terms? And what are the different types of digital signals? When we talk about continuous time system, we talk about continuous time signal, analog signal, quantized signal. Similarly, here we have a sampled signal, digital signal, discrete time signal, sampled signal. So what are these terms? That we will see in the next session. But for today, we have seen the basic difference between the continuous time control system and digital control system. Digital control system will have a computer, analog to digital converter, a digital to analog converter, and that's why it is converting analog to digital, analog signal into digital form, and then again digital signal into the analog form. That is the digital control system, right? So today we have talked about continuous time control system and the digital control system. Next lecture we will talk about the typical example. We will talk about advantages and different types of signals that are used in the digital control system. Thank you.